FC25. What can I say? It's been great, but as September draws to a close, it's out with the old and in with the new. With FC26 out now for early release, it's time to look back on the best of the best of our FC25 Career Mode series. From Fleetwood to Fulham, Venezia and Oviedo, Pompey, Sunderland and Chesterfield. Who's lucky enough to be in the JustMarco FC25 Team of the Year? We've got a lot to pick from. The Ballon D'or winners to the Player of the Season and every single player of the episode vote in between. And of course we've got our own awards to hand out, from Goal of the Year, an honourable mention, and my favourite, the worst player. So now you know the score, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. We're starting off at the back, in between the sticks. If I'm being honest, I did have a long and hard think about this one, and that isn't a pun on our 6'9" Finnish streak of piss. He became a hero at Fleetwood, however I feel he relied more on luck than on goalkeeping. Although he is the only keeper who's ever put the ball in the back of the net. Nah, who am I kidding? It was only ever going to be one man. But we have to hop over to Spain to collect him. The Great Wall of Groen. Let's not get it twisted. For Oviedo, he wasn't the best keeper at the start. Was about 6 business days behind that. Unless we forget the time he wanted to play centre mid. Jesus, it's like watching Gyökeres trying to break away from the last defender. Although in all fairness, Groen might have had a point. Just look at the state of this pass. It was outrageous. But let's be honest, long shots in the bag. Close range, absolutely no bother. Oh, that wasn't close enough for you. How about that? And then he's up on his feet and covering his near post. And when the captain was giving away penalties, which he did often, Groen made a point of saving them. Even if he did get a black eye afterwards, he really was an absolute unit. Double save after double save. Try as they might, the opposition could never knock him down. Thus, Leo Groen was known as the Great Wall of Groen. And this topped it off for me. In the Champions League final, he pulled out a wonder save. So it's with great pleasure that we lock in our first player, Leo Groen. Welcome to the team, son. And with the goalkeeper sorted out, let's crack on at fullback, shall we? We are popping over to Italia with Venezia for the most Italian sounding name I've ever heard, Antonio Candela. Up and down that right flank he did not stop, whichever day of the week it was. And in a narrow 4-1-2-1-2, our fullbacks were more than just defenders. They had to get up the other end of the pitch and put the ball in the back of the net. And I'll admit it, this wonder flick definitely secured your place in the Team Mio Fratello. And I really was debating going for a Venezia double pick. Matthias Rhines at left back was outstanding. Or maybe it was just this world-class spank into the back of the net that drew my attention back to him. But after a little think, we had to go back to Fleetwood Town. If we've got an attacking fullback right side, then we definitely need one left. Constantly up and down that left-hand side, he always found a way to get into the box and put the ball in the back of the net. He wore 39 because he played left back and he brought the heat. So Antonio Candela and Harvey Vale, congratulations boys, we're going to lock you in at fullback. Now before we crack on with Goal of the Year, let's sort out our defence, shall we? Now we've had some proper waste of spaces at the heart of defence, like Zek Medley who threw a fit for not playing enough games and threw in a transfer request on the eve of the Championship Player Final after playing 50 games in a season. Instead, we're going to cast our minds back to a certain Croat at Fleetwood Town. Don't get me wrong, he was an absolute beast, a brick wall of a centre-back. But he did love himself a red card. And let's be honest, sometimes he was not the sharpest tool in the shed. As own goals go, that was pretty spectacular. But it was at the other end of the pitch where he did arguably the most damage. An absolute weapon from corners. He was scoring headers when scoring headers weren't a thing. He literally defied the laws of physics. But he tried things that our next centre-back could do with ease. Luka Vuskovic, I reckon you're a shoo-in for one of those centre-back spots, mate. El Toro. Real name, Ismael Jimenez. Real position, definitely not a centre-back. Like Vuskovic, he loved a red card. And when things weren't going his way, he'd just cheat. Or he'd kick people in the head. Can't believe he got away with that. But let's not get it twisted. He could read the game like a book. He knew how to defend the goal, but he also knew how to score a great one. With his long hair, if you were to squint hard enough, you'd think it was Sergio Ramos or a very young Lionel Messi. With that left peg, he could stick away anything. Just ask your mum. He had a nose for goal that would make a bloodhound jealous. Just look at him. Predatorial instincts inside the opposition's box. I said it once, and you know what? I'll say it again. A centre-back should not have this much sauce. Ismael Jimenez, aka El Toro. Not only are you a part of the team of the year, you're also the vice captain. And alongside Luka Vuskovic, I don't think many strikers would survive. And I did forget to say before we go into the goal of the year that these stats are the stats of their highest rating in each career mode save. Now with the defence and goalkeepers sorted, let's crack on with the goal of the year, shall we? There are so many bangers to choose from. I mean, the fact that this scorpion kick from Dylan Duffy isn't in the top 3 shows you the level that you're about to witness. Yes, there are going to be some goals from players we haven't talked about yet, but don't worry, I'll give you the lowdown on the ones you have to worry about. If you're not familiar, just sit back and enjoy the show. Is it going to be a team goal? Is it going to be a moment of magic? Or is it going to be a throwback to Route 1 excellence like Rodrigo Muniz for Fulham in the Champions League? There's something about just launching the ball up to your big man, him taking it down and sticking it away that is just so satisfying. But so is watching Rodrigo Zalazar sink a finesse shot from basically the corner flag in the Tyne-Wear derby. Or is it going to be individual excellence to seal the deal like Gaetano Orestano for Venezia? A goal that Messi would have been proud of in all honesty. Or should we look towards Matheus Franca, our favela-flavoured futsal... What was it? I can't even remember what the bloody nickname was now. I'm sure it will come back to me. While it does, let's watch Johnny Cardosa, a centre defensive mid, sticking a scorpion kick bottom corner against Liverpool for Sunderland. But alas, he doesn't even make the top 5. Do you know what? Screw it, we are. Sorry, Oliver, you've just missed out. In 5th place, we have got Malik Tillman for Fulham. Look at the state of this goal. It's absolutely brilliant. Arguably deserved to be higher up the rankings, but alas, 5th place is all it gets. In 4th, the one and only Paddy Madden with the scorpion kick that inspired me to do the All or Nothing style documentary about our Irish talisman. In 3rd place, quite possibly the best volley I've ever scored with Darius Olaru. The technique to touch it up with the left and then with his weak peg ping it in top banjo, outrageous. In 2nd place, we're going to have a look at one of our centre-backs. A centre-back, you might be thinking. But Jimenez, oh, he's more than just a defender. The thing about the captain is he operates in the half space between causality and chaos. His velocity isn't speed, it's spatial entropy. He doesn't run behind the defence, he quantum leaps into unoccupied expected threat zones, disrupting vertical compactness and destabilising low block temporal integrity. Basically, he's that guy. But he walks away with the silver. Now brace yourselves, because what we're about to witness is Picasso personified. Every brush stroke is an absolute masterpiece and always picture perfect. Let's take a look at this closely. Oh, the Cunha Vavavoom Melia with the chest touch, and before it hits the ground and flicker the wrist, Flanagan hitting an edge of the box bicy. Oh, it's just delicious. Best goal we've ever scored. Best goal we have ever scored. Just look at it. So it's the boys from Chesterfield in episode 3 who walk away with the gold and the goal of the year in our JustMarco FC25 team of the year. Now then, let's go on to the fun stuff, shall we? Let's talk centre mids. Gianluca Busio running through the 6 with my woes. Silky feet in the middle of the park, and when he broke through into the box he found the side netting. And you know what? He even snuck in a bicy every now and then. But his real talent shone in the centre of the park. Anything outside the box, he'd twat it with a vengeance and make the back of the net ripple. It even got to the point we just give it to him at free kicks and he'd absolutely sink it. But there are levels to this game, and our Joe Bellingham, he's on a different one. Starting off his Sunderland career as a false 9, dropping into that hole and doing the playmaker thing for Ivan Toney, he quickly grew into the position of an out-and-out striker. Give him the ball anywhere near the box and he'd absolutely find the back of their net. A big man with twinkle toes and an eye for goal. As a number 9, our Joby added an incredible dynamic to our Sunderland team. He made the position his own, but when it was time for the team to evolve, we relegated him back to centre mid, and that's when he turned into an absolute beast. And now he was further out, everything outside the box was hitting the back of the net. But he couldn't get rid of those striker instincts, constantly finding his way into the box. He just loves scoring goals, and in the Europa League final, our captain, yeah that's right, Captain Joe Bellingham, put on an absolute masterclass, scoring a brace in a 2-0 win over Ajax to lift the trophy. But when his brother Jude Bellingham came to the Black Cats after a £140 million transfer from Real Madrid, Did our Joe Bellingham hide away in the shadows scared of his big brother? No, he did not. He stood up even taller and carried the team on his back, whilst he was putting the defenders on theirs and dinking the keeper like an absolute mug. And in the Champions League final, he was the one making things happen, picking the ball up in centre mid and running through the Barcelona players to give the Black Cats the lead on the biggest stage of all. Oh, he well and truly made that celebration his own. But how dare we forget Marco with a K, Bullet, and his partner in crime, Ethan Errejón, the Scottish Zidane. These two in the centre of the Fleetwood Town midfield were on another level. When our front line weren't up to the challenge, they dragged us through games sometimes. And with Joe Bellingham basically securing his spot in the team, well, these two are going to have to go bar for that other centre mid spot. I feel like they're pretty evens on volleys, but Errejón just nudged it. Overhead kicks, bicycle kicks. Don't know, that one from Bullet was outrageous. Marco with a K, Bullet was more of a techie player. If you wanted a cute little finish, he was your go-to. But then again, this finesse shot from Ethan Errejón, oh, shivers down my spine. 2-1 Errejón. In all fairness, the captain did have that finesse shot on lock. But when you're scoring the one and only goal in the Europa League final, oh, that makes a strong case. It's 2-2's the remix. It's hard as hell to separate these two. It's a midfield powerhouse, an absolute brick wall of a player, or a midfield maestro with technique Rudolf Matz would have been proud of. The Croat is just about edging it, but when you're spanking the ball into the back of the net like that week in, week out, who am I to disagree? It's 3-3 going into the Champions League final where Ethan Errejón opens the game up. But can we really deny somebody who scores 2 goals in the Champions League final a place in the JustMarco Team of the Year? Although saying that, there was only one man to lift the trophy, and we brought Marco with a K, Bullet in as a free kick specialist, and in 9 seasons he didn't hit the back of the net once. Regardless, we have got to make a decision. Job, you have secured your place. And Ethan Errejón, congratulations, Macca. Not only is he in the Team of the Year, he is also the captain of this side. And so far, we aren't looking too shabby. So let's draw our attention to our attacking mid. We're starting off in the posh part of London, Fulham, and our yank, Malik Tillman. Do you know what? He knew how to beat a man, and he could drive with the ball like it was nobody's business. He's picking this up here on the halfway line, driving around defenders, taking the scenic route. And when it comes down to crunch time, he takes on his man and puts it in the back of the net. And even with his back to goal, he finds a way. Pure class, that lad. And we've already seen this goal, but go on then, one more time for the scrapbook. Well, you haven't seen this one though. For the people in the back, an American with more flair than your average Brazilian. He was good, but not great. Lest we forget about Mr. Total Football himself, Rodrigo Salazar for Sunderland. Yes, he could absolutely twat one in from 80 yards out, but his real talent shines through when he wraps his foot around it. I'm not saying he was a one-trick pony, far from it, and his creativity level surpassed that of Picasso. Absolutely exceptional, son, but his gift from God well and truly was his finesse shot. Look at the state of it. The keeper didn't have a Charles dance, and he even channeled his inner Ricardo Quaresma every once in a while. Yes, we know he's lethal from outside the box, but when he's in one, he'll hit you with a 1-2 AJ would be proud of. Goal after goal after goal. We cannot underestimate how pivotal he was for Sunderland. And to do it against the Newcastle scum gives you extra points. And free kicks, oh, this man had them on lock. And whichever stage he was on, it didn't faze him. Because in the Champions League final, he whipped out an absolute perler. Bend it like Beckham, nah. Bend it like Rodrigo Salazar. And bonus points for him, he is the only player ever to do it for us for 2 clubs. He was a bit part player for us at Fleetwood Town towards the end of the series, but he still scored a couple of bangers. And speaking of Fleetwood Town, how could we forget Mateus Franca? I've actually figured out his nickname for him. I finally remembered it. The Jogger Benito, favela flavoured futsal phenomenon. No, actually, that doesn't even sound right. The Jogger Benito, favela futsal flavoured phenomenon. Oh, there it is. It rolls off the tongue. And he's easy on the eye. To quote the comments, he was the new shiny toy at Fleetwood Town, but he only lasts a couple of seasons. And whilst he was a joy to play with, his art to make a case for him to be in the Team of the Year, with only a few standout moments. And last up for consideration, Sebastiano Esposito. Don't know why I did it in that weird accent. The most techie of the 3 Esposito brothers at Venezia. Anywhere in the forward positions he would do a job, striker or centre attacking mid. and in my opinion that's where he really shone through. On his day he was hashtag better than Craven, an absolute goal hunter. So you best believe that alongside all that flair he could absolutely twat a ball when he needed to. And in the Champions League final he took to the stage and showed the world exactly who he is, making an absolute mockery of the Man City defence and their goalkeeper for that matter, scoring every kind of goal in the book. It was an absolute masterclass, but alas, out of all of these options there can only be one. And of course it goes to Rodrigo Salazar, Mr. Total Football himself. You have been locked in. Now we only have the attackers left, so before that, let's hand out our second award, the worst player from FC25. I'm not beating around the bush with this one, there's only one who's fit to wear the crown. Dominic Moss, you were supposed to be the next big thing. When Fleetwood Town arrived in the Premier League, somebody had the bright idea to buy this pleb from League 2 side Crawley Town. It was supposed to be more than symbolic, he was supposed to be the diamond in the rough in the heart of defence, but it turned out he was just a lump of coal. Scratch that, a fungus who infested himself on the rest of the team. Whenever he made a tackle, he'd be sure to give the ball straight back to them, and it was as strong as a wet paper bag on a windy day. In the following season we sent him out on loan to United, and when he came to visit the Bando we took him for an absolute mug. He was a joy to play against, forgettable on his day. The streets will never remember. A truly believable player, and if it wasn't for the goalkeeper it would have been a cricket score. He's the type of guy to give CPR to a fish. And the following season we sold him to Spurs for almost 30 million. We went over to North London to play him, and he must have learned some juju along the way because our defenders were doing their best Dominic Moss impression. And even Spud subbed him off. Look, you're a steaming pile of garbage, Dominic Moss, and there's nobody who deserves this award more than you. I needed to get that off my chest. Right, it's out of my system. Let's talk wingers. We're going down to the south coast for a certain Spaniard, one Gaspar Campos. Do you know what? Actually, when I went back through the clips, he wasn't all that impressive, just consistent and relentless. The only reason he's here is because he won the Ballon d'Or, so don't worry, he's nowhere near our team of the year. So let's hop over to Fulham to have a look at our Emil Smith Rowe. Other than getting beat up by Arsenal on the return to the carpet and scoring a few sexy goals from time to time, upon reflection, actually he was just a really good player in a very good team. I don't think he's quite team of the year material. But the same cannot be said about our Real Oviedo superstar Erhan Onda. The little Turk was a pillar of our Real Oviedo Youth Academy rebuild. From season 1 to season 10, he was a mainstay. There was nobody, and I mean not a single soul in 10 seasons, who even came close to displacing him. At first glance you'd think you were watching Bukayo Saka, the way he cuts in on that left foot and wraps one in the onion bag. But believe it or not, I think that's doing him an injustice because he has so much more in his locker. Yes, he could put one in bottom corner without even a split second on the mind, but he could also dink the keeper and take the players to the corner shop and make them buy him a Twix. But there was just something about getting him onto his left foot and absolutely sinking one. Just look at the state of this. A left boot like an RPG. But this has to be my favourite. He just finesses it, caresses it, loves and suppresses it into that top left banjo. Oh, you're a shoo-in, bruv. I feel like the right-hand side is sorted. Now let's talk about the left. Jackie boy, not to be excluded from the conversation. On the left wing, he'd leave defenders in the dust like it was going out of fashion. And his secret weapon, the finesse shot, he whipped it out more times than I can count. Top bleeding draw. Oh, the Conference League final, the crown jewel of his time with the Black Cats. He was the reason we won, let's not get it twisted. Starting with an assist for Tyler Dibbling, which is ironic because they're both now playing at Everton. Sometimes my genius is almost frightening. Anyway, I digress. 1 assist and 3 goals later from Grealish, and we're lifting the Conference League. But even that's not enough to secure a spot in our team of the year, especially when you're competing against this lad. More nicknames than I've had hot dinners. X marks the spot. The Lancaster Bomber, the Lancashire Rose. Jackson with an X, real name Jackson Lancaster. The real deal. Yes, he was. Week after week after week he put in consistent 8 out of 10 performances, and all whilst constantly being compared to a certain Zach Lovelace. He would block out the haters and just focus on his game. He has got a Schindler's List full of incredible goals, and this just might be my favourite. There is no point harping on about him. Let's get him in because his time is now. Jackson Lancaster and Erhan Onda, you have locked yourselves in as left and right wingers in this JustMarco Team of the Year. And now, there is only one spot up for grabs. But first, we've got to give away our final award, our honourable mention, and it can go to no other than Paddy Madden. At age 34, everybody thought this man was destined for the retirement home, but in League 2 for Chesterfield, showing the English leagues that age is just a number, he carried the team on his back, scoring some beautiful goals along the way to secure Chesterfield not just a BSM trophy, but the League 2 title and their next stop, meeting Bex for the Player of the Season. And as we climbed the football leagues, his hunger for goals did not disappear. In fact, it only grew, and he found equally as enjoyable ways to score them, as well as nutmegging a few souls along the way. And in the Championship playoff final against Coventry, the now 37-year-old was determined to get Chesterfield into the Premier League. This goal arguably should have been in the Goal of the Year contention, but with not just one strike to his name, after rouletting their man, he had a brace to his name, but he wasn't done there. In a monumental comeback, he sealed our fate with a hat-trick, lifting the trophy for all eyes to see like Simba on Pride Rock. Whatever the light touches is yours, my son, and it was shining brightest on the Premier League. He scored 2 goals against Gigi Donnarumma to show the league that he means business. This wasn't just a farewell tour or a pity party. Oh no, this fella was making Premier League defenders look Sunday League. Although that is much easier when you're playing against United, I suppose. In another universe, he's given Alan Shearer a run for his money. But in his final season before hanging up his boots, he could barely run up the stairs, let alone for 90 minutes. But that didn't stop him in the FA Cup final, the ultimate swan song for our number 33, as he scores a brace in a 2-0 win against the Gunners. And in all honesty, he should have got a hat-trick. But in all honesty, that is semantics, as he bowed out of football, lifting the FA Cup in his final ever game. Paddy Madden, you of course are the honourable mention in our FC25 Team of the Year. Right up until the last minute, I thought he was going to take our number 9 spot, but I had to put recency bias aside and cast my mind back all the way to Pompey. Did Dominic Calvert-Lewin do enough? We scored plenty of goals with him. He was the surprise package for the Portsmouth rebuild, and to be fair, he's got some cracking goals in his name along the way to the Champions League. But alas, cool goals and backheel assists aren't enough. So let's move on to Rodrigo Muniz, popping back over to Fulham to have a look at his acrobatic play style. Plus, he started off small, just teasing what he could do with the ball off the ground. And as the games went on, he started to get bolder and braver until he went full Cirque du Soleil. Nothing in the air was off limits. He soared like an eagle. But let's not get it twisted. On the floor, he knew how to dance, and that touch to get away from the defender is pure Joga Benito flamenco. But even that's not enough to claim a spot. Mamma mia, Francesco Esposito, the Italian stallion of Venezia, like a heat-seeking missile, he always hit the target. And we didn't call him the Italian stallion for Bance. He was a brute. If he was in Assassin's Creed, he'd be walking around with an axe. But that's not to say he didn't possess that panache, that pizzazz, that molto bene, mio fratello, and even with the Ballon d'Or to his name, he's nowhere near top of the pops. However, this man is the man for the job. Ivan the Terrible Toty. He was a pillar of our Sunderland rebuild. In the first season, he joined us in the January transfer window when he scored the one and only goal against Arsenal to save us from relegation from their Prem. And in the 5 seasons we were with the Black Cats, he scored a plethora of goals, all shapes and sizes. Ain't no standards here, Ivan Toney. You show love to all of them. If you wanted Tekkens, he'll whip you up something with a cherry on top. If you wanted a certified banger, he'd drop you a one dance with the Hennessy in hand. That's a cracking strike though, is it not? Or if you wanted something more cultured, he'd glide past the defender and finesse it onto the postage stamp. And to complete the character arc, he went from scoring the goal that saved us from relegation to scoring the goal that won Sunderland the Premier League in Season 5. From Player of the Season to the Ballon d'Or, he won it all, and I can't think of anybody else more deserving of that Team of the Year spot. Other than maybe, just maybe, one player. You might not remember him from Fleetwood Town, some kid called Zach Lovelace. Brought for the price of a semi-detached from Rangers, he started off alongside Martin Adam in League 2, and he quickly showed the Fleetwood faithful his qualities, which, believe it or not, isn't a pun on his speed. I always loved this goal, the touch to get away and the finish! Woo! Go on, son. Nothing fazed him, even in the derby against Blackpool. He lit up the stage, making a mockery of defenders and lacing it in the back of their net. Oh, we love to score. But in Season 4, the Lancaster and Lovelace partnership hit the field and our star boy was reborn. With Jackson up alongside him, all Lovelace had to do was stay up top, stay in position, keep making runs and score the goals. goals that would take us E-I-E-I-O-ing up the Football League. And for a little lad, he wasn't shy from throwing his weight around. Zach Lovelace. Not the name that was given to him, but because he loved lacing it in the back of the net. And when the board decided Fleetwood needed more firepower and broke the bank on Semi Calixoy, Lovelace was pushed out wide to make way for the Turk, and let's be honest, he was no slouch. He knew how to score a goal or two, but Lovelace kept his name in the conversation. But when the board broke the bank on another striker the following season, everyone thought Lovelace's curtain was closing. And let's be honest, this bloke was a real freaking deal. He was an animal. But we already knew that. He spent 4 seasons scoring against us every time we faced him. We already knew he was great, but seeing him demolish teams week in, week out was a sight to behold. But Lovelace refused to go quietly, and when you're chesting the ball over to my man for a scissor kick, the streets won't forget. JJ was so good. We won the league, we won the Champions League, and he got Ballon d'Or all in one season. But some would argue that it was robbed from Lovelace because he kept scoring behind the scenes. In fact, when JJ joined, Lovelace only became more hungry for goals. No, scratch that, not just hungry, he was ruthless. I mean, look at the state of this strike. And in the Champions League semi-final, in an extra time stalemate against the Sky Blues, he painted the town red and lit up the night sky. He was a fan favourite. It could only ever be you, Sunshine. Zach Lovelace is the final piece of our Team of the Year puzzle. So here are the Team of the Year boys for your enjoyment. If you don't agree with any of these picks, then keep it to yourself. Controversially, no Fulham, Portsmouth or Chesterfield players, but maybe at the end of FC26 we'll have a team full of superstars, all from different teams. That's the dream right there. I want to thank you all for watching and for your love and support through FC25. It's been a pleasure. I am working on our FC26 RTG as we speak. I've got some cracking things planned, and I hope that you will all be pleasantly surprised with what's in store. Until then, lads, take care, stay safe, and ta-ra!